Alright, so all my orders for all my models have pretty much been delayed due to all the huge snowstorms in Europe, which is really kind of a pain in the ass for me. So I'm trying to figure out what should I review in the meantime, just to, you know, get a video out there and all that. Well, I was looking around and I can't find any good side-by-side videos of the Vallejo metallics. And I got me good ideas thinking I'll do the steels, I'll do the bronzes, I'll do the golds. Because I'm really disappointed with the Citadel metallic layers, because they clump up so easily. They get gunky way too fast. They got these pots. I mean, the dropper bottle is so much better for metallic. You know, it's just all this gunk gets built up so fast. And this is one of the better metallics. The darker metallics that they gunk up to the point that they're almost unusable in most cases. So I'm trying to find a good alternative, and I think I struck a fair amount of gold with the Vallejo. We're going to review the oily steel, the natural steel, and the gunmetal gray. And that gunmetal is rather interesting, and I'll show you all why here in a minute. Now, all these paints, when applied to the model, have all been applied with thinning, which with water, pretty much. And as a quick demonstration, I'm going to show you guys what they look like just in the palette themselves. Now, for instance, this one down here in the middle is actually the gunmetal gray, and it's so darkly pigmented. It's almost like an iron look. Then you got the oily steel, which has a bit of a fun little thing it does. It actually leaves black streaks in the recesses of the model, which you'll see here in a second. It's actually really neat. And then you got the natural steel. It's just a normal steel comparable to the Iron Breaker layer from Citadel. That's how they look in the palette. Get a good angle on that for you guys. You see the real difference of them. And then a light flash on each one as well. So you can see the metallic layers in all of them in the pot. Now, first up is going to be the actual oily steel. In this one, the black streaks are present in a lot of the model. And even though it's kind of a thicker paint, with a little bit of water, I don't see any real dilution of details on the model itself. Now, in certain angles, you can see those black streaks poking out of the model, and it's really interesting how it does that. Overall, it was a real pleasure to work with, putting onto the model. No real clumps, went on easily. I couldn't talk any more good about it without sounding like I'm kissing Vallejo's ass, to be honest. But as you can see from most of these angles, it went on really well. The black streaks show up on extreme angles, and it kind of like auto inked, all the recesses. I wish I'd done this one with the chainmail, but I didn't. And on the head scale, you can see a lot of that black oily streak showing in a lot of the segments as well. And I was impressed that it didn't cloy up any of the marks on the armor and around those bolts right here. I should go and get my little detail brush here. And the recesses right here with the bolts right here. None of this hasn't been shaded. There's no known oil or a wash on this. This is only the paint putting in those little black marks here and here, along as within here and here. The paint did this, not any washes. I bet with a good wash, you use barely any and get even more depth level without cloying up the metallic color like a lot of washes do with lighter colors. Next, we're going to move on to the natural steel. Natural steel is a good solid steel paint. As you can see, it's quite thin. I used water with this while applying it because I like to go in and apply even more metallic paint here and there. Like with right here, I would go in with actually a second base coat and then fill in all these white spots. That way, you get a nice even coverage without worrying about like clumping up all these little spots right here, because you can still see the lines in all the little flowers. So when thinned, you can get more details out of the model without actually destroying the details. On the opposite side, you can see even more here. I did a nice thin coat. It's good. It's steely. It'd be good for any kind of like high order things like elves or empire, that kind of stuff. And as you can see, what are they doing out there? My gosh. And then you can see here in the chainmail, you got a lot of detail popping on that chainmail. No loss of depth on any of that. Getting a shot, aren't I? What are you guys doing? Jesus. The fun of having an old grumpy ass dog. He barks at everything. And that's the steel. You got a good glimmer of steel going along there. And now we got the regular Ironbreaker Citadel layer. Again, it's very comparable to the natural steel in the fact that when applied with a thinner, you get those streaks in there. You do that to avoid, clamping up all the details on there. But as you'll notice, it's got the exact same, application to it, with the exact same results. And I almost say though the natural steel went on better because there's no clumping in it. There's no chunks. I usually have to go through this and kind of pick out the lumps, which you can see actually. Let me get my right here. See if I can get it to show up. But right there is one of those little metal chunks I'm talking about. You see how it kind of shines? It got a little lump right there. You got a little lump. And that's one of those metallic blotches that I find in my pots all the time. Same for in the rear here. These aren't sprue marks. These are actually lumps of that metallic paint that are standing out while applying because the pot gets so full of junk. And that's why I'm trying to get away from the pots. So those pots, they just accrue lumps of paint. It gets on your brush, and then it gets on your model. Which are one of the things that you have to realize while buying these paints. Not saying it's a bad paint, but it's just that pot design is absolutely terrible and detrimental to anything you do with your models. And out comes the really weird one, the gunmetal gray. Such a weird, yet pleasing to the eye, onyx color to it. If you look at the shimmer and depth on that paint. So weird. It reminds me of like the old-fashioned, the old Ironbreaker or bolt gun or bolt metal, whatever the old Citadel paint was called, had a very similar sheen to this, but the new one just does not compare with the old one. But this kind of brings that back, and I really like how it looks. It's got a nice, like, I don't know, chaotic, like dark iron look to it, a dark steel, dark iron look. Yeah, it catches that light really nice. And again, all this depth in these ribbons right here, all this darkness, there's no wash on it. This is the paint doing this. The paint almost did all the work of adding depth to the model. So what you do is you get your natural steel down there and it's lightly dry brush over the edges, and all those edges would pop immediately in your highlights. I almost think that I'm seeing white spots, but it's not white spots. It's just how shiny that gunmetal gray is. And it just went on so well. I'm actually really surprised. And like these are actually the thin spots right here in these edges. This is actually still got paint on it. It's just on a thin spot based on the white. So you would see how you can actually layer this on and get a nice, super shiny metal feel to it. It was just so interesting. Again, I wish I could see this on chainmail, but I didn't think ahead. I didn't think ahead at all. You can see how awesome that looks on a model. Wow, I was really surprised. That's basically all the review is seeing how it goes on the models. I would love to get an all metal model and try these metals out. And I guess I'll go ahead and do a side by side directly against the other ones. So you got your Citadel in the left hand. Then you got the Vallejo steel. You can see they're very similar. Very similar. Application, streak, and shine. In detail, acquisition in a sense. They all stay and no cloying. Then you got the that oily steel right here. You can see where it starts changing out that from that light gray to that nice oily steel color. that's not quite as dark as a gunmetal, but still fills in those small details with that black color, and really saves a lot of work on the model itself. And then you got that gunmetal, that quote unquote dark horse, coming out, and it looks so cool when compared. Because you got the basic steel, you got that nice deep, cool looking dark steel color, all those glimmers, all those natural highlights coming out with the paint. Really cool looking. I'm really surprised. I've never used these paints before. I've used the regular Vallejo model colors, but never actually used their metallics. And I'm surprised by the price. The oily steel, one right here, is only $2.99. The natural steel is $4.99, and then the gunmetal is $4.99. I'm not sure why the oily steel is only $2.99. It may have been a pricing error on Hobby Lobby's part, so it may actually be $4.99. I'm not actually sure. And you get, what does it say here, 17 milliliters of paint, and the dropper bottle style. So you got the cap off, it's got that dropper on there. A lot of control with how much is going out on the palette and all that. Really nice. And I believe with the Citadel pots, let's see here, it's only 12 milliliters. So 12 versus 17 milliliters, it's a big difference in terms of just paint weight. Paint storage, this will last longer, this will not. It's a common thing with pots. You don't need a palette with a pot because they got those little spoon dips in here. You pop a little pot up, get a little paint. No need for a palette, but you get these little nasty chunks of old paint that get on your brush and they get on your model, and that's when things go terribly wrong. I can't stand pots nowadays because no matter how well you seal it, sucker in, how much you beat against your hand, there's still going to be air in there. It's not going to get a good seal. You know why? Because of this design right here. You can see it arching back with that gap. Let's look at this right here. This little pot keeper thing. Terrible design. The screw caps were better than this damn thing with like the old early 2000s pots for Citadel. And that's all for today's review. I'm going to try and get in the Vallejo bronzes and the Vallejo golds and see how they match up with the Citadel Auric gold armor. And I've noticed the separation between these two paints is very different. If you guys know of any not Citadel, but Vallejo comparisons to Nuln Oil, because right now, in my opinion, Citadel does put out the best wash. Nuln Oil is hard to beat in terms of just how good it is. And I don't believe Vallejo makes washes like Nuln Oil, but if you guys know of one, you can tell me what the name is, I'll order it in, and I'll test it out and give it a good side-by-side. But yeah, that's all for today. Hopefully my miniatures from Mears get in, my miniatures from Fireforge Games get in. I got a few accessories from another weird little company coming in. They're little balefire things for making your own models and all that. But yeah, I'll see y'all here soon. Hopefully with something better, some fun stuff, and stay tuned. Actually, I lied. We're not done yet because I want to try and wash these and see what it does. Oop. Come on. Stupid pot. Alright. Go ahead and wash the let's see what the oily steel does with a bit of wash to it. I'm just gonna wash one side, I think, and see what happens when you wash it. So this is be liberal real quick. And see what that... It turns into the bolt gun metal when you wash it. Look. It turns into that one when you put a wash on it. That's interesting. Huh. Doing a quick wash, nothing too super duper about this. Huh. So it turns into the bolt gun with a wash. That's rather interesting. So we got the washed portion, unwashed portion, unwashed portion, washed portion. Huh. Okay. Here's that natural steel. Load up some of this ink here. Let's see how much this chainmail pops when I wash it. Check that out, huh? And normally I would do this with the rest of the model, not just how it is right now. But since we're just doing, a quick wash test, so I get this out of the way, see what it does. Hard to do this while doing the whole camera thing, so I apologize if there are any technical fallacies going on. All right. So with the natural steel, it turns into the oily steel when you wash it. That's something. Seeing it up close, you see a lot of weird stuff, so let's do it. Up close one, we're going to go far away. And from a distance, this stuff looks pretty neat. Nice wash, check that out. Okay, so as I said, it's a quick wash. We got, let's see here. Washed, unwashed, unwashed, washed. How about that? That looks pretty darn neat. Just find the darn focus spot. There we go. So again, washed, unwashed, right there, and then the washed. Pretty good looking. Soaks it up quite nicely. You can see all the detail is left in from that paint being slightly thinned down. Citadel, I'm not gonna wash it. I know what it does. I know what it does. You know what it does. No point in washing it. Now this bolt gun or gunmetal gray. What was going to do? So let's put this wash here. Let's go ahead and go in here. Ooh, there's a hair there. Don't want that in the model. No real big change. Wow. Wow. But all it does is give it maybe a darker tinge. Get more of that ink in the recesses there. Yeah, too deep. Throw some up here for fun. Some on the face. Yeah, I don't see any difference. Do you guys see any difference? I don't see any difference here. So we got washed. There's no difference. Unwashed. Washed. Unwashed. Do a quick roto shot here. This is unwashed. Alright. And then it's a little bit over. We got the washed. And there's no real difference between the two of them. There's a bit of darker color near the recesses, but I don't really see a big difference between the two of them, Huh, well, I'll be damned. Alright, now we're done. Thought y'all might want to see that, Thought you guys might want to see what happens when you wash it, so. But I'm not going to wash this. This I'll do with the rest of the model when I actually paint it. But I wanted to see what these did with the wash. And that gunmetal, nothing changed from a distance. That's wild. Alright. Anyway, goodbye for actually now. Hope you all enjoyed the video. And I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully some more actual models on the table. So, goodbye.